Hello, dear students. Have you wondered somewhere that if we plant mango trees seeds, then why only mango trees are coming, not an apple tree? Or if we see cow gives cows and dog gives puppies, cat gives kittens, why not other animals? This is first question. Secondly, when a child of any animal, that is next generation, takes birth, at that time it is seen it resembles with its parents. So how it is? This resemblance with parents with certain characters either of the parents is observed. Is there any logic behind it? Is there any science behind it? So according to this, in this chapter, that is heredity and evolution, we are going to find out answers of these questions. How life begets life, that is, the offsprings of any organism resembles with that of the organism with its parents. So here we go. You might have observed that your characters are resembling with mother and father. Certain characters like your height, your color may be resembling with your mother, or it may be your color of skin may be resembling with father, hairs may be resembling with your father, your ears may be resembling with your father, and some other characters. This is the combination of characters of mother and father. The characters from mother and father are transferred from parental generation to offsprings, that is next generation. So what is the logic behind it? Secondly, while transferring these characteristics, you might have seen that the transfer of character is not uniform. Sometimes you might be noticed that your parents or some your relatives are saying that your characters are resembling with your grandparents. Let it be either maternal grandparents or paternal grandparents, but they are resembling with. So is there any pattern to transfer the characters from one generation to next generation? And if it is, what is that? These questions, these patterns, how characters are getting transferred, can be answered with the help of this chapter. Secondly, if characters are transferred from one generation to next generation, it means some deformities, some diseases also get transferred from parental generation to next generation. So if we understand the pattern, how these characters are transferred, likely how these diseases will be transferred, likely how these abnormalities will be transferred, one can understand the pattern of transferring of characteristics from parental generation to next generation. Secondly, one can avoid such type of characters from mixing. So this is something, deletion of characters from generation to generation. It is possible, or certain characters can be avoided. So actually during marriages we have a trend, we have a custom that we go to the Jyotish and we see for kundlis, and then marriages are decided. Instead of that, if pedigree analysis, that is transfer of characters from one generation to next generation, if pedigree is plot, then some abnormalities which are coming in the children, that abnormalities can be avoided. So genetics is a subject which deals with the transfer of characteristics. So genetics is a subject which deals with the pattern to study heredity and variations. Because what is meant by variations and what is meant by heredity? Heredity means transfer of characters from one generation to next generation. This study is called as a heredity, and variation means though some of the characters are resembling with your parents, but certain characters are not resembling, so they are different from your parents, so this is called as a variation. So heredity and variation, these two words are at center during discussion of this topic. Now, who has studied this? There was a scientist, his name was Mendel, a great scientist. He is also called as a father of genetics. Genetics is a branch of biology which deals with study of heredity and evolution. So the father of genetics is called as a George Mendel, or it is also called as a Gregor Mendel. So Mendel have studied all these characteristics, how transfer of characters, how variations are taking place, and what are the laws behind it, what are the principles behind it. So early in the studies during 18th century, near about 1855, Mendel has started his studies on pea plant. Before that, do you think that nobody has studied this? Actually, everywhere study was there, but even observations were there, but proper pattern, proper principle formation has not taken place. So laws, Mendel's laws of inheritance were not formulated by anybody, which were formulated by Mendel. Otherwise, in India also we know that crossbreeding between different cow and bullocks took place, and from that new combinations has taken place. Sahiwal and Khillar, these two cow were crossed, and from that then different variety of cow which was disease resistant as well as giving more milk, such type of characters combinations was made. Then we know that we were having natural selection type of breeding techniques, in which farmers used to select good quality grains from previous harvest, and then they were planted, so that quality saplings used to get prepared, and from that a quality harvest in next season used to take place. So this is something about crossing between two different species or two different varieties, and from that a hybrid variety formation used to take place. But though this knowledge was there, there was no exact idea, there was not known principle behind it which could give justice how this pattern of inheritance takes place. So we are going to study about this. So in this chapter there are certain words, please note down it with the help of pen on your notebooks. Genes, genome, characters, traits, law of dominance, law of segregation, law of independent assortment, monohybrid cross, dihybrid cross, trihybrid cross, F1 generation, F2 generation. These are the some of the terminologies which we are going to discuss in this chapter. So what exact pattern taking place? Before that, let us discuss about Mendel's work, how Mendel has started his work and how he has introduced these different laws. So tomorrow I will be waiting for you for a video lecture. We will discuss in all these things, all these concepts, and Mendel's work, how Mendel has performed his experiment in detail. Till that time, you just note down these whatever terminologies I told and try to find out meaning of these terminologies. Tomorrow once again we will meet. Thank you very much.